Pedro from A&P-REACTS. I'm here today with Markus from Omnium Gatherum Insomnium. And I know you're working on another project because I've seen some of your pictures on Instagram. So there's something else coming out soon, and I'll ask you about it. But first of all, how are you doing?
I'm okay. It's winter in Finland. It's cold and dark, just the way we love it here.
It gets all it gets all the inspiration juices flowing.
Yeah, depressive times, so it would be perfect times to start writing for Insomnium, for example, which I should be doing at the moment. So take all the darkness and spirits outside and made it to music.
Before we get into the list of the 5 most influential guitar players for you, I want to go back in time a little bit. And even before that, let me ask you, you've been posting some pictures in the studio, you're working on something. What can you tell us about what you're working on?
It's kind of it will be announced February. So it's not anymore so long time to wait, but it's been a long time coming project, but doing really old school stuff that I used to love in the 90s, but somehow haven't got any chance to do it lately because of touring and all the Insomnium and Omnium Gatherum busy times. But I had 1 year off because of one tiny thing, so now I had enough time to do all the other stuff also. So there's also been a silver lining with this old pandemic stuff, and there's even another project coming, so it might be there's 4 bands.
Yeah, you're keeping yourself busy during these downtimes.
Yeah, I'm always I'm hyperactive, and that's why I'm usually over 200 days per year on the road. So you have to do something to keep yourself sane. So I'm basically locked down in my home studio and making music, and it's nice.
It's a good way to stay sane. Before we get into your list, let's go back into the vault a little bit. Let's go back in time a little bit. How old were you when you picked up your first guitar?
I think I was 11 or 12, somewhere around at the 6th grade in school.
And so, did you take some lessons, or do you kind of just like learn from on your own or from watching your friends playing? How did you get started?
At first, we had some kind of secret society. All the boys that were having guitars and couldn't play, we just tried to play together, and somehow it went somewhere. And later on, I went to music school and then get like real lessons and studied music. But at first, it was just like someone from the neighborhood just knew some Metallica riff, and then you just have to watch it and just learn it and take everything you can. So it was a nice group of people playing guitar.
Do you remember the first song that you learned how to play on guitar?
I think it might be as boring as Enter Sandman by Metallica. I think most of my aged guitar heroes have started with the same thing. So it was this Metallica and Guns N' Roses. And I used to work as a guitar teacher many years, and 10 years ago, and it still was like all the young guitarists still wanted to learn Metallica and Guns N' Roses. So I was like, nothing's changed since the early 90s.
The classics are the classics, you know what I mean? Like certain things don't change. From the moment you picked up your first guitar and you start playing with your secret society, at what point did you feel like, you know what, I feel like I'm good enough now to start like a real band? Was it a fast process for you, or it took some time?
It was really fast process, like a kind of immediately when I had the guitar, we had a band with the friends of mine, and I bet it sounded horrible because no one couldn't play anything, but I'm always been like a band guy. I don't have any interest to be a solo artist or something like that. So, and if I wouldn't be playing in a band, I think I wouldn't be playing guitar at all. I'm not the kind of guy who is like sitting in your bedroom alone and doing crazy licks only only because doing crazy licks. So I've always had a mission to learn guitar
and be in a band. And you
Yeah.
and you guys started Insomnium. You were really young when the band got together. Looking back now, did you guys imagine the success that the band would have when you guys just got it started?
I wasn't in the first lineup of Insomnium. I joined the band as late as I played gig in 2007. So I basically only been in Insomnium a bit later. But Omnium Gatherum was like the band I formed when I was 14, I think.
Oh wow!
So in Omnium Gatherum,
So Omnium Gatherum was your first real taste at being in a metal band, like a real metal band, not your first attempt there with your buddies.
We had one band before Omnium Gatherum, which was called Moonshine. Cool, eh?
That's a cool name.
Yeah, maybe we should do a reunion. But Omnium Gatherum was basically like my second real band. So
how old were you when you got Omnium Gatherum going? 16, you said?
14.
14?
Yeah.
Holy crap.
So it's been monkey on my back pretty long. This
wow,
OG.
that's crazy, that young. Wow. And yeah. Did you think that the band was going to be around for this long and you guys were going to have the success that you had, or at the time was just like a fun thing for you to do and just get together and play?
Of course, playing death metal, you never thought it would take this long and be like almost 40 and still playing in the same band. But of course, when I started to play guitar, I wanted to be like the best guitarist of the world and do this whole of my life. So of course, it's always been kind of like a going somewhere attitude.
Wow, it's incredible. 14 and wow, I mean, at 14 I was playing with Legos.
Yeah. It's a good. You can still play with Legos, and it's cool.
I mean, I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around the fact that you started the band at 14. The band is still going strong, stronger than ever. Like, it's incredible. Like, the longevity of the band and the fact that it started that early, it really says a lot about the quality of the band, the music that you guys have been able to put together and continue to grow and evolve throughout the years.
Be these pathways, like the first mission with the band was to do a demo cassette because some older guys in the city were having demo cassettes with their bands. So it was like a mission number 1. And then it was mission number 2 to play a gig in your home city, which was coolest ever. And then things just explode. They came to like a first.
How was it, like, you were pretty young at 14 starting off a band. How was the support from your family, from your parents when you're getting started?
We were rehearsing at our basement. So it's always been really cool. And back when we were like 14 and 15, we were rehearsing a lot, like every day and many hours per day. So the support really was there. But I guess it's kind of a like cool way to check where your kids are, because you can hear them all day, all night when they're playing heavy metal.
Yeah, I guess it's better than you guys being outside and them worrying about what could be happening. At least this way they can keep an eye on all of you guys.
Yeah, it was always when we were outside, we were always like waiting to go back inside and rehearse with the band.
Well, it's a real Finnish thing, you know what I mean? Like, plus I guess you guys had the luck of not having like modern technology. It's not like you guys got distracted by PlayStations and YouTubes and all sorts of stuff. So you can put all your eggs in one basket, and that basket was the heavy metal basket.
Yeah. And it was hard back in the days because there was not even internet and no YouTube where to learn some songs. So you had to learn the songs from the C cassette or CD, just pause and just check out what's happening. And it took a long time, and we didn't have any like not even 4 trackers. So if you were like doing a demo of your new songs, you just have to like play live and record it as a C cassette.
So when you had that first demo, that tape, did you guys like take it to school and like give it out to other people so they could listen to you guys? Is that kind of the approach that you
had? Of course, it was the coolest time ever when you had like a demo cassette. It was like you're the king of the world. Even it sounded horrible, but it was just so big thing. I think nothing haven't been after that as big thing in like to be in a band than do your first demo.
Did you keep a tape of that first demo? Do you have it?
Yeah, I have it somewhere.
You
I don't have.
You need to
cassette tape.
re-release it.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Maybe maybe part of a special VIP package for the next tour you guys do. You during the VIP get together with the fans, you get to play that demo.
Yeah, that would be something special.
I think so. I think a lot of people would actually appreciate it. Going in from those days now into the inspiration that took you to become the guitar player that you are today. I mean, you may not see yourself as an iconic guitar player, but you are an iconic guitar player. At least in my view, you are. I mean, you're playing in two iconic Finnish metal bands, and you're one of the guys that drives that sound forward with both bands. Like your guitar playing, it's very unique to you on stage, in studio. You could feel like I can feel personally that I'm listening to you playing when you're playing. It has a very unique style. So going into creating that style, into creating that sound, I asked you to give me your 5 most influential guitar players. And I want to start off with Adrian Smith from Iron Maiden. What was about him that attracted you, and how early were you in the Iron Maiden journey when you discovered his style and his approach?
Well, Iron Maiden was one of the first bands I ever fell in love with in heavy metal, and I think I was something like maybe 6 or 7 years old when I first got like a Somewhere in Time cassette, and then it was just the best band in the world, and Adrian Smith was the coolest guy in the band, and I remember I was watching like many times in a week this 12 Wasted Years VHS video, and Stranger in Strangeland was maybe the point where I just decided that I want to play guitar. There's just so cool solo on that song and by Adrian Smith, and he's having it all there. It's like a rocking solo, really melodic and really good vibrato. Looked cool, so it just got me.
But it's interesting that the first guy that you listen to is Adrian Smith, and then the band you start is a death metal band. So how do you go from Iron Maiden sounding licks to like death metal, and how do you incorporate those two, because they feel like they're worlds apart?
My playing have always been really melodic. I've always loved these melodic old hard rock guitarists and heavy metal guitarists, and I've never been a fan of tech metal that much. I like some bands, but I've never been interested to play like as difficult as I can. It's all about melody, and I think even you can say my bands are death metal bands, but it's really in a melodic way. And at really tender age, I already fell in love with these Swedish melodic death metal bands. We had a lot like Iron Maiden, like Old In Flames and Dark Tranquillity and Edge of Sanity. All these bands had pretty much Iron Maiden melodies hidden between the lines, and somehow that has to be the pathway.
That was the pathway for you. Wow. Have you, at that time when you're listening to Iron Maiden and you're watching Adrian Smith playing and you're taking some hints in terms of playing style, is there anything specifically that he does that you try to emulate or at least incorporate into your playing style?
He had the coolest mullet on Seventh Son, made in England.
Definitely, I don't disagree with you.
Yeah, so that's the most important thing, of course. But his style is just so unique. He's playing really melodic solos always, and he had the best vibrato ever, and he had the sound. Nothing against Dave Murray, but Adrian Smith was always so much better player and so much cooler guy.
You took the attitude and you took the solos and you ran with it.
Yeah, and somehow I always loved Adrian Smith's songs also in Iron Maiden. Like, so
Yeah, they have a lot of melody. Very, very. They have almost a Journey feel to it.
Yeah, I love Journey also. So,
And then sorry.
Key words you are saying there.
Yeah. And the next name on your list, I'm not surprised at all because I've seen some of your guitars, and I know you're a huge fan of Eddie Van Halen. So, when did you discover him?
I'm here.
Hey, there you are.
Secret layer. It's here. There's also, by the way, Adrian Smith guitar rack. So Adrian Smith.
Oh.
Jackson from the Son of the Seventh Son era. So I have my weapons.
Yeah, you have a lot of weapons to choose from.
Yeah, too much. Yeah. I'm a collector also.
So with Van Halen, how did you get into Van Halen?
I first came to via music. I first started to listen Van Halen's music, and basically same story with Iron Maiden, that I just liked the songs, liked the band, and then just the guitar was the thing behind the music there. And Edward Van Halen, he was just so mad scientist. Nobody can play those things he did. Like there's so much like different sounds, and he was just inventing so much new to guitar playing, and still nobody couldn't sound like him, even playing like good old Eruption or stuff. There was something so unique in his playing, and somehow like I would say punk attitude, because he was doing crazy stuff and
yeah,
wild.
He's not your typical guy that just stands there and plays. He's like very animated on stage. Like everything about him is part of the performance. It's not just the playing. It's everything. It's the whole thing is one package.
Yeah, that's what I mean also. Like the guy is the guitarist. You cannot think Eddie without guitar, and everything he does, he lives through his guitar, and that's just so cool. And he was all, like I said, I've never been like a tech guy, so all these Steve Vai things, so many guitar players are thinking Steve Vai is a god, and of course I love Steve Vai and a lot of Steve Vai stuff, but Edward and his like wild playing and all the mistakes he does, that's just so much more pure energy. And
yeah,
I love it.
It's more organic.
Yeah, organic is a good word, and emotion, and it's not about like playing 100% tight every time. It's just more like going dangerous ways, and Edward really did that.
I think that's all about guitar playing. It's living on the edge, right? Like, I mean, if everything is super perfect, then it becomes a little bit boring.
Yeah, and nowadays it's too often the name of the game to be like too precise and everything is just too polished and perfect, and it's so easy with all the computer recording and stuff. So I hate it when music is lacking like a real emotion and mistakes.
With Eddie, like, were you also playing the tapes and going back and forth and checking out some of his work, or did you have like a visual aid? Like, did you watch some music videos? Like, how did you capture a little bit of his essence in terms of influencing how you actually start to play yourself?
I had like a times when I watched every day Live Without a Net video. That's the concert video. I watched it every day, and especially that 50-minute guitar solo, and I was just like blown away every time. Like wish I could do at least some of that somehow in the future, and I still can't. But
well, at least you tried. You paid a lot of attention and you spent a lot of time looking at it.
Yeah, I think that was kind of like my school of rock, watching a lot of these videos and just staring and hoping it someday. And wow, that's a learning process also. You have to, it's more, playing guitar is more than just learning to play. It's like watching your iconic heroes and getting something out of everyone.
Like some of these guys, like both Adrian Smith and Eddie Van Halen, when you're a young guy, you're a young aspiring guitar player, and you're looking at these two guys play, does sometimes it make you feel like, wow, it doesn't matter how, like you just said, you watch it and you can still play. does it make you feel like it doesn't matter how much I try, I'm never going to be as good as them? Does that take a little, but does that take a little bit of like, maybe I should find something else. Maybe I should be a drummer.
Never. It was just like I will never be as good as they, but I will try my best kind of attitude. It's some strange force that always have driven me forward. I don't know. Maybe it's some brain damage or something, but it's not. I'm never going to give up something.
From the handbanging. The next name on your list is really interesting. I mean, I'm a huge fan of his as well, Randy Rhodes. What did you take from him? Because he has, like, I don't think anybody plays like him. He's such a unique player.
Yeah, well, for example, you maybe seen me playing live, so I always play live these Jackson Randy Rhodes model guitars, and I think it's still my favorite guitar ever. The guitar shape and everything in that guitar, that's just my drug of choice and my weapon. It's perfect for my own playing, and I kind of found Randy Rhodes when I listened to Ozzy's Randy Rhodes tribute live, and I think that's still the best moment of Randy Rhodes. He's playing so much better in the live situation than on the record on these two albums, and that album really gave me a kick in the ass of like starting to really rehearse and learn guitar playing. I somewhere got the tablature notebook of that album, and I played like hours and hours and weeks and years, everything in that record, and I still think my playing is really stealed a lot from Randy Rhodes style. There's so many cool licks and melodies always in Randy Rhodes, and this riffing, he was genuine songwriter, and
I think more than that. I've seen you live, like now, like a bunch of different times. I've seen you live with Omnium Gatherum. I've seen you play live with Insomnium. I think even your persona on stage, your style on stage, has a little bit of a Randy Rhodes feel to it.
Yeah, thank you.
You know, the way you move, the way you play with the guitar, the way you interact with the rest of the band, specifically more with Omnium Gatherum. I really feel like you're channeling your inner Randy Rhodes.
It might be. I've done my schoolwork too well.
Watching listening to the live albums and seeing videos of him playing, probably, even without you thinking about it, it has such an impact on you as a kid. It has such a big influence that you end up, without even thinking about it, taking a few of those things that you saw and kind of almost mimicking it without even thinking that you're mimicking. It just kind of becomes part of your nature.
Yeah, just like I said, like Randy Rhodes is maybe the guitarist I've learned most stuff, because Edward Van Halen was always so unique and mad scientist, and I thought I never can play these things. So Randy was more like the kind of guy that I could take a hold of and try to steal his chops.
So up until this point, from these three guitar players, do you feel like, even though you took inspiration, perhaps more inspiration from Adrian Smith, the way he created songs, the solos, you took some inspiration from Eddie Van Halen, the craziness, the mad scientist, like you said, but then when you got to Randy Rhodes, that was the one that you felt that, okay, I'm not just taking inspiration, I'm actually going to take a few things and incorporate and making it my own style.
Yeah.
Do you see it that way?
Yeah, I definitely see it that way. Maybe like a Mr. Crowley was the first real difficult solo that I ever learned, and like Mr. Crowley from the Randy Rhodes tribute live, that's still one of my favorite solos.
How old were you when you learned that solo?
Maybe 13.
Wow. Did you go to school and show it to everybody?
Of course. I remember doing that in the schools, like a music class, and all the other kids were like, wow, how are you doing that? And I was like, I've spent hours and hours and hours of my free time for that. So that was my moment of glory.
Yeah, while everybody else was chasing girls and playing with Legos, you were practicing Mr. Crowley solely.
Yeah, I have my evil plan. I do that first, and then the girls are coming to me.
It's the rock star mentality. It's like I don't need to go looking for girls right now. I'm looking towards the future. You had like a long-term investment plan.
Yeah. It's like fishing. I do it well, and then everything comes.
I love that way of thinking, because it's really funny that you say that, because I wanted my son to learn how to play guitar, and one of the things that I told him to convince him to play guitar is that if you play guitar, you're going to get girls. So
Yeah,
because I say
and
when you go camping, you know, with your friends and stuff, you can take an acoustic guitar, and if you play some jams around the campfire, the girls will love it.
yeah, soon there will be more people.
That will give him the motivation to play more and more.
Yeah.
So
It would be stupid to say that it's not an inspiration for playing guitar. As a young boy. Yeah.
The next name on your list, I mean, I don't think I even have to say it. You're wearing it on your shirt. You're giving it away. Every single guitar player that I've had on my channel to talk about the 5 guitar players that influenced them, there hasn't been one so far that hasn't mentioned Yngwie. Every single one. It's incredible. I mean, the other names on the list, there's some similarity, some change, depending on the age of the guitar player. Obviously, there's going to be different influences, right? The younger the guitar player, the younger the influences and so forth. But when it comes to one name that's been on everybody's list, is Yngwie. Incredible.
Yeah. And that is great, because so many guitarists are always saying like Yngwie Malmsteen, he just shreds and plays fast, and it's just boring fast playing. It's not. It's really difficult, and it sounds cool. You can like immediately when Yngwie is playing a solo, you can in 1 second you can spot it. It's Yngwie, because no one sounds like Yngwie also. And the sound he's playing, like that old Marshall and Fender, it's really tricky to play that kind of stuff with those instruments. And so he's rude. I love also that rude attitude he have, like for everything. He's true rock star, and music needs those rude rock stars.
Yeah, and he was playing in an era where there was no like technology to kind of help him. Everything is him.
Yeah, and like those 80s and early 90s albums, they're full of so cool songs, and he was just so good songwriter, and all these Bach and roll classical stuff he have still from Bach and Paganini. It's so cool on guitar. He's the guy who like invented neoclassical stuff basically for the shred generation. So he's really important guy, and definitely love his attitude, because he doesn't say sorry.
Yeah, he's definitely a rock star that lives the rock star life.
Yeah, we had was like 2 years ago, or maybe on the latest Insomnium tour on the old world, when there still was tours going on. We had some guitarists from Finnish band Stamina, and then some crew guys, and every Malmsteen fan that there was, we just gathered and had like a new Malmsteen evening. We were listening like this 20 past year albums of Malmsteen, because everyone likes the old stuff, but the new stuff it was hard night, because everyone loves Malmsteen, but then we have to admit that the stuff after like a 95 have been pretty crappy.
Yeah,
he's
a little bit below standard, if you will.
Yeah, he kind of lost it. He didn't anymore use like producers, or I think on the new album he even sings by himself and have like a programmed drums, and he just became too solo artist. And
do you think a little bit he became too involved in his own world? Like you said, he has an attitude, he has like this rock star persona, but at some point in time there has to be some checks and balances, and I feel like with him there's no checks and balances. He's Malmsteen. He does whatever the hell Malmsteen wants to do. So and at some point in time that kind of becomes a problem, perhaps.
Yeah, definitely, especially he's not a singer, he's a guitar playing, so he should just play guitar. And he used to have all these cool singers like Jeff Scott Soto and Mark Bowles and the Rainbow guy. Now I just forgot the name on the Odyssey album, the Jolan Turner, and then now he sings by himself. It's like, why?
Yeah.
He could get every best singer in the world to his band, but I just don't understand why he doesn't do any. He's the guy that everyone's waiting, like a Yngwie Malmsteen Rising Force comeback with Johansson brothers and Jeff Scott Soto on singing, but I think that tour would sell really well, but he's rude. He doesn't care about that, and
maybe after the pandemic, you never know.
Yeah,
you know, he'll do a throwback tour. Now, when you discover Yngwie, was there a specific album that was the first one that you listened to, or did some friends come over and played something for you, or how did you find them?
I think the first album was Trilogy, and I think I loaned it from the local library.
Oh, you guys
library is
albums
like
from the
important.
library?
Yeah, there was like a CD of Trilogy or cassette, and also a tablature notebook. So that was a perfect match, and I still love that album, like a Trilogy suite. That's a great instrumental. And
wow. So you brought it home, you listened to it, and you're like, what the hell is this?
yeah, it was like all the friends who were playing guitar was just like laughing how fast he can play, and it was just like from another world, and it still is. I think today when I was drinking my morning coffee, I was listening to Yngwie Malmsteen live album, some later live album, and he still kicked really serious ass.
With that big wall of amps behind him.
Yes, it has to also look something like, I love the Marshall wall.
Yeah. And it's, you know what, it's no fake Marshalls, it's like all the real crap. Like he doesn't fool around.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Then you know Markus is a happy man when you see me on stage and I have like a Marshall wall. then you know I'm there, like
yeah.
Now we're talking.
Yeah, you're in your environment.
Yeah.
The last name on your list is Steve Lukather from Toto, and I thought this was an interesting name. I'm familiar with Toto. I'm not a huge fan, but I'm familiar with Toto. And the thing about this band is that I know a lot of Finnish musicians that are huge fans of this band.
Yeah.
Before we talk about Steve, what is it about Toto and Finnish musicians?
I don't know. Toto is just good music. Maybe it's that. Even in Finnish Inferno magazine, the biggest metal magazine in Finland, they had like a contest a few years back, and the contest was like for Omnium Gatherum, invent a new genre for Omnium Gatherum, and the winner genre was epic Toto core.
Epic Toto core. What would that sound like?
I think that sounds like Omnium Gatherum. Then someone thinks.
Wow, you just needs a little bit more breakdowns, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to throw core at the end of the genre, then you have to definitely do some more breakdowns.
Yeah. Or punk hardcore, Toto core.
Wow. So Steve Lukather from Toto, how was that? How did he come into your life?
Well, he was kind of like maybe that was through learning music in school, and then Toto is more like a real music, musicians' music. So there's such different kind of stuff in Toto discography, and Steve Lukather is just so great player. He can play a lot of different kind of genres, and of course he's a studio musician, been recording like a zillion albums and played on Thriller, for example. So he's more like that kind of versatile guitarist guy, and I've always loved his sound and tried to duplicate some effects from his sound rig, and he's more like that kind of sound guy. But he still rocks. he's not that kind of like a studio guy, just like a boring fusion jazz guy. He have some rock attitude in his little bit jazzy playing. So
Is it important, because you mentioned he's being very versatile? So it's important for you as a guitar player to be that versatile as well, to be able to adapt to different things and then translate that into the music you're creating?
yeah, of course it always depends on the case, and every case is different, but I've always thought that like getting influences from like death metal is better to take outside death metal. For example, Steve Lukather is far from death metal, but I love his playing, so try to get something from Steve Lukather's style to death metal, and it became something unique.
Yeah, it's really interesting. It's really interesting. I'm looking at the list, and I'm looking at you, and to see what you took from all of these 5 guys really allowed you to create your style and your playing style and the way you play. Like you said, Adrian Smith with the solos, the melody, Eddie Van Halen with the whole persona, the style. You go into Randy Rhodes, you take more of the actual playing and the way he attacks the guitar. You go into Malmsteen with the speed and how over the top, and then Lukather with the versatility. And then you have Markus.
Somewhere around there.
You're like the Frankenstein of
everything.
You're a little bit of a Frankenstein built out of those 5 guitar players.
Yeah, like I said, cheap copy.
I don't think I honestly don't think you give yourself enough credit. I honestly think you're an outstanding guitar player, and I know a lot of people that look up to you as a guitar player, and I think you're a great influence. You play in 2 huge bands, at least in my view. I love both bands a lot, and I've had the pleasure and I say honor of seeing both of them live multiple times, and it's both of them offer you something different. But as far as your playing style and what you give to both bands, I feel like it's nearly perfection every single time.
Thank you.
I just really enjoy watching you play as a guitar player. It's just like you're one of those guys that has a little bit of that old school aroma to it. Do you know what I mean? Like you have a little bit of that in you.
Yeah, that's my neighborhood, the old school and all this old kind of guitar heroes, and I just love so much that stuff and playing guitar, and just it's really natural for me.
I feel like it comes across like every time I've seen you play, and I was close to you in the front watching you play, you're not just playing the song because you have to play the song. It's on the set list. People paid the ticket, and therefore, I have to play this song. No, every time you play the song, it feels like you're playing it for the first time. Like, do you know what I mean? Like you're in it. Like that song, that guitar, the song, all 3 are one in that moment. It feels like you're playing that song. You're discovering that track for the very first time, and you're as excited as you were the first time that you came up with that song, and that comes across every time you play.
Yeah, I try to be, and I think it's just because I love playing guitar. It's the most funny thing almost in the world, so I just love it, and playing in front of the people, our own songs, it's just I just get so much out of it. So it's natural and it's true. There's zero poser on that posing. I know it looks like a lot of posing, but it's really natural. That's just me.
Yeah, that's just who you are. It totally comes across, and I always enjoy watching you play. And I want to say thank you for taking the time today to go through your list of 5 most influential guitar players and talking a little bit about your upbringing, playing in your parents' basement, your first demo tape. I think you honestly, we're going through a pandemic. There's no live shows in sight. You need to bring that demo tape out and let everybody get a little bit of a listen.
Yeah. Highly remastered.
Yeah, take it to the studio again and just clean it up.
Yeah, a lot of cleaning.
Now you're getting me really excited. I really want to listen to this because it can't be that bad.
Well, you can surprise. When you are young.
I love it. Maybe, maybe I would be surprised, but I think fans would appreciate it. I think it's, And it's not out of the realm of possibility. You're a very outgoing guy, so I don't think you would be afraid of putting yourself out there. I'm actually surprised you're now wearing one of your Hawaiian shirts in this video.
It's not summer.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It's a little bit.
My winter shirt.
Yeah, and we're talking about guitars. It's true, and it's dark and cold. All right, so it makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, Markus, thank you very much for your time today. I really appreciate it. All the best. Hope to see you guys on the road very soon, or maybe see you in Finland. I mean, I'm dying to come back again to Dark River Festival and hang out with you guys.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll be back in Canada also soon. It would be time to go back on the road, definitely.
Yeah, I'm sure you guys are itching to get back on the road. I'm hoping to see you guys in Toronto soon. Maybe bring that tape with you. We'll just play it backstage, only we can listen to it.
Deal.
All right, perfect. Thank you very much. Take care.
Yeah, take care. All the best.